And this is KC9VKV with the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network. From now until 5, we are recording, and if you have a radio that you want to check out the audio, give us a shout, because we'll be posting this within the next couple of days up to YouTube. So you just do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a Qso entitled My Group Aircheck 3/29/19, which is today's date. So it would be My Group Aircheck 3/29/19. This is KC9VKV.
Yeah, hi Jim, can you copy? Yeah, hi Jim, can you copy? K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. I've got you on the Arlington, Virginia SDR, Roger.
On the Arlington, Virginia SDR, Roger.
Roger on that, yeah. Last week, they were having a bad thunderstorm and a hailstorm at the same time that you were trying to tune in Arlington, Virginia, and that's why they weren't on the air. They were off the air because of a very bad storm, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger. That I didn't know that they powered down during adverse weather conditions, but I guess, we do, so I guess they would too, Roger.
Oh, yeah, you're not too strong directly, but I am copying you very Q5, very Q5, way up to 45 degrees today, and snow is melting, although we still have loads of snow, lots and lots of snow on the ground. On Wednesday, this next Wednesday, the 3rd of April, I'm expecting a visit from BK3 Mike Ontario, BK3MO Ian. He's from just northwest of Melbourne, Australia, and of course his XYL route will be stopping in, so that ought to be interesting. So, good to hear you. You sound fine. You're running an S9. However, I'm sure if I were in Arlington, Virginia, a lot closer, you'd be a lot stronger. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I'm copying you 10 dB over the Arlington, Virginia noise level. The SDR. Of course, these SDRs do have compression, and so you have to look at it right at the minute that you clear. Otherwise, that level comes on, that noise level comes on up. I haven't quite figured out how to tame the AGC compression, receive compression in these SDRs. And on the other hand, I'm not sure I want to either, because you do want them within a certain parameter, and I guess about the only way you can do that, I guess maybe what I'm looking for is a little slower AGC compression recovery. That would probably be ideal, Charlie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Roger on that. I don't know much about the SDR situation, but I think it's fascinating. It's absolutely remarkable how you can go from one part of the country or another part of the world by throwing a switch, picking up the signal from another area where it might be a lot better. But you sound fine. You sound absolutely fine. And from your own station without SDR, here's how you're coming in today. Here it is. I recorded it.
And on the other hand, I'm not sure I want to either, because, you do want them within a certain parameter, and I guess about the only way you can do that, I guess maybe what I'm looking for is a little slower AGC compression recovery. That would probably be ideal, Charlie. You know what I mean?
Okay, so there you are. You sound great. Audio is absolutely perfect. Very cloudy out there right now, very overcast. KC9VKV, K1GZL, if you can still hear me.
Oh, Roger, got a fine copy on your chart. Just absolutely beautiful there from through that Arlington, Virginia STR. Well, I will leave you. It sounds like you having some pretty good weather today, Roger.
Having some pretty good weather today, Roger.
Yes, it's very warm outside. However, when we get to Sunday night, I think we're going to probably have some occasional rain turning to snow. But for this whole season, we've had 253 inches of snow, or over 21 feet for the whole season. Not on the ground at one time. We'd be buried because, you know, it melts with warming friends and everything else in between. Okay, Jim, I'll sign with you, and we'll try to catch you next week. My SWR is horrible. It is horrible. A third of my power is coming back, so I'm down on reduced power. I might be putting out, if I'm lucky, 750 watts here, but the antenna is still in bad shape, and I've got to get that driven element fixed. But with that much snow on the ground, there's absolutely nothing I can do at the present time. So thanks again, Jim. Good luck with everybody today, and we'll try to catch you next week. KC9, if the antenna doesn't come down completely, KC9VKV, K1GZL. Always a pleasure.
Roger, Charlie, 3 that way, sir, and I'm glad you've got some good weather, and hope your weather maintains a good status for, well, as long as you want it to. I know you do enjoy your seasons. That's why you're living there. So I don't want to presume to say that you should always have, warm days, because that would destroy your situation there, and it is what you want. So I'll just say, may each day be the day that you're looking for. We'll leave it with that. 3's Charlie, and we'll catch you later, sir. Thanks for checking in. This is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network. We'll work it out. Qso-Vlog network, where we record live from now until 5. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording KC9VKV.
We are recording KC9VKV.
Mobile, Whiskey 6 Santiago, Guatemala, over.
Roger, copying a Mobile off the Rochester, New York SDR. Mobile, come back with a call sign again.
Mobile, come back with a call sign again.
Well, I thought it was a Mobile. Station calling KC9VKV. Come back again, please.
Calling KC9VKV. Come back again, please.
KC9VKV, this is W6 San Francisco Giants. W6 Sierra, Foxtrot, Germany, Mobile, over.
It was a Mobile out there. I thought so. What's the name there?
What's the name there?
Gosh, I guess that Rochester SDR is kind of intermittent. W6 San Francisco Giants, you copy KC9VKV.
Giants, you copy KC9VKV.
Well, I guess not. I didn't even get a name there. I didn't even get the name. This is KC9VKV to W6 San Francisco Giants. You have a copy now? Well, I guess not. Either maybe that Mobile ran into some difficulties there. I'm not real sure, but I'm not copying it, so we'll press on. This is the Qso-Vlog network. If you have a radio, you want to check out the audio. We are recording from now until 5, and we'll be posting it up on YouTube, where you can go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 32119. This is KC9VKV. Not copying anyone at the moment. Charlie was saying that we were only a nine up around the Canadian border. Usually we're about maybe 15 over up there. So I guess the conditions are kind of not real good today. So it's kind of like that anymore almost all the time on 40. I'm not real sure. I hope the cycle, the 40-meter cycle, gets into a better part of the cycle, so we can get our 100-watt friends in a little bit cleaner. I'll tell you what, I am looking for one specific station at the moment, if everybody will just stand by. I'm looking for Rusty, KG0BK, out in Iowa. That's KG0BK, Rusty in Iowa. Rusty, do you have a copy on KC9VKV? Try it again. Rusty, this is KC9VKV. Do you have a copy? We are running 3 SDR internet SDRs. We're running Rochester, New York, Arlington, Virginia, and Milford, PA SDRs this afternoon, in addition to our own local. And you know what I could have done, I guess, would have been to pull up an Iowa SDR, but it would probably take more concentration than what I've got at the moment. It's not in my favorites, unfortunately. So maybe later on there, Rusty, you give me a shout, and maybe conditions will become such that I'll be able to get a good copy on you. Between now and then, threes, and you know, like I say, try a little bit later, and maybe I can copy you. This is KC9VKV, the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording KC9VKV.
November 9, Sierra Lima Papa.
November 9, Sierra Papa.
Yeah, November 9, Sierra Lima Papa. Mike, the first person on there.
Okay, I am copying you on my local antenna. We are located near Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river from Louisville in Indiana. So try it again. Let me see if I can get your name, sir. Okay, come right up on that mic. Let's not worry about the ALC right at the moment. Just come up on that mic and give me your name, please, sir. Not copying. I copied you there for a moment, but it looks like these conditions are kind of changing very quickly. So marginal signals are in and out pretty quick. So I don't know. We'll just do the best we can under the circumstances. This is KC9VKV, the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
KC9VKV, November 3 Sierra Golf Whiskey.
November 3 Sierra Whiskey. November 3 Sierra Whiskey, go ahead.
Yeah, it's November 3 Sierra Golf Whiskey, SGW.
Gotcha, sir. Go ahead. What's the name?
The name is Keith, Kilo Echo India Tango Hotel. I'm located in Pennsylvania. And I was curious, you told me to make some modifications to the audio and change the compression, and the ALC is on a little bit above the middle of the scale now, the way you had suggested. Does it sound any better?
Oh, sounds beautiful. Now, what radio? Are you running the 7300?
Yeah, that's correct.
Roger. Tell me about that radio and what your first impressions of that radio were.
Honestly, I think it's noisy. I don't know. It must be the area I live in Philadelphia, but it picks up a lot of noise, and I can't seem to. I mean, it's like try to get on nets at the middle of the night, and I have a constant S5, S6 noise level, and it seems to be noisier than my older Kenwood TS440S, and I'm not sure why, but I like the radio, but it's got it's all right. It works.
Roger. I was going to see how much you wanted for it. We could work out a deal there. The other thing is, sometimes we have devices within our own dwelling that are generating a lot of QRM, particularly switching power supplies. And I have found that the best thing is when you have a total neighborhood power failure. Get your radio on battery and see the noise difference between when the AC is on and when the AC is off. And that'll give you some idea of what the man-made noise in your area is. The other thing would be that you could create a somewhat similar situation by having an alternate power supply for your radio and pulling your AC mains, so you are rendering your house powerless except for your radio, and that way you can ascertain if that particular noise is emanating from your QTH. Roger?
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, I use an actual older, very heavy regulated power supply because I don't really care for the switching ones, and I do think that they do generate noise. And I also found that even a simple cell phone charger, it was weird when I plugged it in. I lost the whole band, and I couldn't figure out what it was for a while. I unplugged it, and it went away. So, yeah, I have been checking on that stuff. It seems like it's an outside concern, like more of a transformer or something.
Roger that. Well, it can be challenging, to say the least. I also have used an old AM portable radio and tuned above the band just slightly or below the band just slightly, and did some walking around the house, sniffing for various kinds of electrical disturbances, particularly around power poles. The base of power poles gives you some indication of if the bad signal, distortions and QRM is coming in by the power lines. Roger?
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, in regards to the audio of this radio, the only thing I haven't found yet is the some kind of foam to put over the stock handheld microphone. So I try and make it a point to talk across it rather than directly into it, which I know I lose a little bit of audio by doing that.
Roger, well, you can go to any music store. Any music store will have foam windscreens, and hopefully they have sold out of their old stock of foam windscreens and have the new ones, which are only about 3 inches long. So you can, if you have your hand mic there, if you're using a hand mic, you can slip it over the top. You might have to cut out a little bit on the edge where the PTT button is, but otherwise it would just slip over the top and offer you quite a bit of protection as far as trashy sounds coming out of that radio. Roger?
Yeah, roger that. Just with your experience, is there any other microphone that you suggest that might actually work better than the stock mic that comes with it, although everybody says the stock mic is awesome?
Yes, the stock mic is awesome, and the thing is, if you did that, see, what you would want to do would be to replace that microphone with a condenser desktop microphone. That would be the ideal thing. That would give you the the advantage of a desktop microphone and not sacrificing a bunch of audio articulation, which is the hallmark of the condenser microphone. Roger?
Roger that. I appreciate your feedback, and I know there's other stations that want to get out there and make a contact with you, because I did hear other stations in there. So I don't know what SDR, if you're using an SDR to pick me up and which one, but hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear, and you're definitely a 5.9 into Pennsylvania. You definitely sound real good. Your audio is fantastic as usual.
Thank you, sir. I'm using my local antenna. I didn't switch around. It could have been better, but it was almost perfect the way it was, so I just left it. So you're running about a 3 on your compressor, Roger, Roger?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm running a 45 mic gate and 3 on the compression.
Yeah, Roger. I'd leave it like that, man. Sounds good. What do you know how to get to tone through menu settings?
Yeah, the software-defined radio is a pain, but I have figured out how to do that, how to change the tone and the bass. What do you suggest?
Just curious. Tell me what it's reading now, and we'll figure it out.
On sideband, I have the TX treble is a +4 and the TX bass is at 0.
Yeah, I would leave it like that. Now, and you are in the widest possible bandwidth?
Yeah, I have it set on the widest because I was told with local communication it's the most comforting and it's not annoying.
Roger. And, the thing is, when you go to less than the widest bandpass possible, you start cutting down on both ends of the spectrum, and it's usually more noticeable on the top end. So here you are trying to get this articulation going, and then if you restrict the bandpass, you're rolling off the top end. So you're really kind of defeating your purpose there. I say roll it widest possible all the time. The thing about trying to restrict it for contest and DX, again, it's a moot question because you're looking for articulation. If you're doing contest or a DX, you will probably be in pileups, and so you want the maximum amount of intelligibility going for you, and that will be in the widest possible operation of the radio, and you can always roll off that bottom end, if you want to be a little more defined, but keep the top end and stay in the widest mode possible. Roger.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you say that because I was told to narrow the bandwidth when I am trying to make DX contact, and I actually found it to be the opposite. I think the widest is the most intelligible, and it seems to work the best. Where when I narrowed the bandwidth, I had to repeat myself numerous times for a station to understand me. So I do believe you're right on that, and it seems to work fine that way.
Oh yeah. I really think you need to be all you can be in a pileup. I mean, you don't want to be Mr. Mumbles. You want to have the maximum amount of articulation so they can hear you. Even if you're 10 dB below their noise level, if your articulation in the audio is good, they'll still be able to hear what you're saying, even though your audio is below their noise level.
Yeah, copy that. I found with this radio and the butternut HF6B, and it's just ground mounted, and there's no real actual radials coming from it. Just a ground rod all the way, 8 foot in the ground, and 35 watts into an SB200, which gives me around roughly 300 PEP. Seems to work ideal. And with the audio the way it is, I seem to have no problem with local and DX stations. It seems to work real well.
Oh, that's it, Roger. Yeah, 300 to 500 watts is a nice signal that is going to do the most good. I mean, if you run a kilowatt, you're a little louder, but barely. So, 300 to 500 watts is really ideal. Makes your tubes last a little longer, too.
Yeah, Roger that. Yeah, I picked up an old SB200 that was... It actually had the original tubes in it from the day it was built. I got a really good deal on it, and I've been using it for a while, and I only run about 35 watts to it at the most, and it seems to work fine. I don't need to turn it up, and I don't want to damage it. So, yeah, it's been working out real good. Hey, I appreciate the conversation, and like I said, I don't want to be a hog here. I know there's other stations that want to talk to you. I'm sure of that. But you do a nice thing. I appreciate what you do as far as the radios and the audio checks. So KC9VKV, I've got some stuff to get done, and I want to get out of here. It was definitely nice conversing with you, and I'll catch you again, definitely. It's been a few times, but I'll definitely be calling on you again, especially when I get the windscreen and you can let me know how that sounds. So KC9VKV, November 3, Sierra Golf Whiskey.
Roger, Keith. Yeah, any music store will have that, and probably in a multitudinous amounts of flavors as far as colors. They usually have many different shades of color there, so you can pick the one you want. And the thing is, without the windscreen, folks sometimes have more distortions, louder distortions from the element running without a windscreen. These distortions, audio distortions, are louder than their actual words. So in a way, they're QRMing themselves. So when you put a windscreen on, you cut all that residual garbage out, and there's nothing left but the words. That's the neat thing. Windscreen is all positive, no downfalls to it. So 3's Keith. Catch you later, man. Good to talk at you, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We'll say 3's for now, and this is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio that you want to check out, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Echo Juliet. To N3NGW, W6SFG Mobile.
W6SFG, San Francisco Giants. Where did you go last time?
I got a telephone call, and by the time I got back, you were talking to someone else. But yes, the other station, NGW, is still there. I want to see if he can go up to 192 over.
No, I can't. This is a net, and so we have to stay right on the frequency. Do you have QRM net in your location?
No, apparently you're not copying what I'm saying. I'm asking for the NGW to QSY up to 192 over.
SGW?
The guy you were just talking to for 20 minutes, over.
Oh, Roger. Keith, W6SFG wants you to, I think, go up. Where'd you want him? At least 3 or 4 kc away, please. W6SFG. I never got your name, sir. What's your name? Oh, he is stolen by gypsies again. W6SFG, do you copy KC9VKV? Nothing heard. This is KC9VKV and the afternoon Qso-Vlog program. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording, and we'll be posting it up on YouTube, where you can go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll take you to the Qso-Vlog page, and on that page you'll be looking for a Qso marked My Group Aircheck 32919. The title of the Qso will be My Group Aircheck 32919. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor.
This is Kilo Alpha 4, Charlie India Delta.
The Alpha 4 station, come back with a call sign again, please.
Alpha 4 station, come back with a call sign again, please. Roger, Kilo Alpha 4, Charlie India Delta, KK4, CID. Name is Mark, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Mark, and we're in Richmond Hill, Georgia. Richmond Hill, Georgia, just below Savannah. And we're talking to you this afternoon on an old Drake TR-43 with a...
Roger, Mark. Now, let me try to go down to, what was the location? You said Georgia, around Georgia?
What was the location? You said Georgia, around Georgia? Roger, just south of Savannah, Georgia. Just
it's Richmond Hill, and we're right out here on the Georgia coast.
All right, let me see if I can dial that up. There is a Georgia SDR. Yes, we shall see. Sometimes you might be too close to the SDR. You have to be at least 25, 50 miles away from it. Let me see what I got here. Come back and let me see if I can hear you, sir.
Come back, let me see if I can hear you, sir.
First time here in the last
That sounded real interesting to me. Let's see what you had. And since I've just put this Drake TR4C on the air for the first time after many, many years, I was just curious as to what it sounded like. There's not a whole lot that one could do with this radio as far as audio quality goes, just maybe changing microphones and set the mic gain. But I actually have an old Drake hand mic, the Drake hand mic I'm using, and that's probably the first thing I need to do to kind of step it up and improve it some. But anyway, we appreciate your critical report, and if it's a little bit too weak, we'll just pick it up another time. KA4CID.
I'm copying you mainly on the Raleigh, North Carolina SDR, and you're coming into that station at about 6 dB over their noise level. And that radio, TR4C, I have one. I'm touching one right now as we speak. A Drake TR4C 2-package unit does, well, the book said it did in excess of 300 watts. I'm sure that's PEP, but all in all, a fine radio, and I think it sounds real good. The only thing that you might want to do would be to, get another microphone, a desk-type microphone, but I'm not sure that that's going to change things. It pretty much is. It's a non-EQ radio, so you have to kind of do that EQ in the front end before the audio actually gets to the radio, Roger.
Before the audio actually gets to the radio, Roger.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is just change microphones. The common mic for this radio is the D104, and also the old Shure desk mic, the Shure 444s, crystal mic, dynamic mic, and that's about all you can really do with it.
Roger that. Now that D104 might sound interesting. If you were to get a D104 without the amplifier and ran that D104 into the TR4C, you would get a lot brighter signal than a conventional, say, a dynamic microphone. That D104 is a real high impedance microphone, and you would whether you have the amplifier, if it's amplified, it'll come out flat, kind of. But if you're just running the cartridge by itself in the D104, that might do real well for that Drake TR4C, Roger.
For that Drake TR4C, Roger.
Well, I have a D104 non-amplified, but the element has failed. I was using it with a Johnson 5.2 on AM, using it on AM, and I got a lot of comments about how I had a ringing phenomenon with it, and at first I didn't recognize that as being a mic problem. I was trying to troubleshoot something wrong with the radio, but finally determined that it was the crystal element failing, so I've got the mic set it off to the side. I think I might replace the element with one of the Heil HP5, I believe, is one that they can get to go with the D104, or just pick up another D104, because it certainly does have a little boost on the high end, but I think that probably would sound well. Well, I won't keep it any longer. I know you've got other people waiting, but just found your YouTube channel and heard you, and I know it's probably kind of hard to copy, but thanks again for your time and picking me up, and I'll listen out for your wrap-up. KA4CID.
Roger, Mark, you are coming into Raleigh SDR at about 5 dB above their noise level. I would suggest also that you get a windscreen, a foam windscreen, to work on that microphone between now and then. I think that microphone does well. And if you were to get a desk mic, you would still have the same basic curve, EQ curve, so step out, and if you get a chance to do that D104, I think it would be worth the experiment, as far as brightening your audio signal up there. So we'll say 3s for now. Thanks for checking in, and we'll be uploading this within the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page, and on that page you'll be looking for a Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 32919. My Group Aircheck 32919. So 3's Mark, and we'll catch you later, sir. Have a good afternoon and a good weekend. This is KC9VKV. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout.
You want to check out the audio? Give us a shout.
Quebec.
Just was switching. I got Quebec. Come back with a call sign.
Come back with a call sign.
Hey, good afternoon. November 3, Mike, India, Quebec, just south of Baltimore, over.
Roger, sir. Now, what's the name?
The name is...
I'm sorry, you kind of blipped out. What's the name again?
Hello, let's start again. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the name is Brian. Bravo Romeo, India Alpha November, Brian.
Roger, Brian. And what kind of radio are you running there, sir?
Just like everybody else, we're running a 7300. And the amplifier is a LK500 Zulu Charlie. And the antenna is an off-center fed dipole at 50 foot, over.
Roger. Now, looking at your audio, I did see a couple of transients well beyond 3 or 4 dB above your normal zero level, so to speak. So you could be a little fatter. I would suggest cranking in that compressor at about a 3. Compressor in at about a 3, Roger, to begin our process, if you would be interested.
Got home from work. I heard you coming down the road, so I wanted to say something to you here from the house. I have talked to your mobile before. It seems like I'm having a problem with the relay in this old amp supply. It seems to every now and then it's not making contact. I see my SWR in the radio jump way up, but right now it seems to be holding up.
Yeah, usually that is in a receive mode. Usually those relays contacts don't work too well when you're in the receive mode as opposed to transmit. But anyway, I would crank in a little compression there on that radio. Are you talking, you're running a 7300?
7300?
Yeah, that's correct. 7300 with the stock mic.
Roger. I would put that compressor at about a 3. Roger.
Yeah, I don't even know what I have it at, to tell you the truth. I got so many radios, I don't have to check it.
Well, Roger. Okay, you can hear your radio in the next couple of days. I'll get this uploaded, and if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that'll take you to the Qso-Vlog page, and then you're looking for a Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 32919. Roger.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and I'll look into what I have as compression set out here.
Roger. Well, it's a whole process. It's not just the compressor, but there's a whole routine that by the time you get to the end of it, you should be having about a 3 dB dynamic range with average peak modulation of about 85%, and a little work on the EQ on the microphone. But we'll try that some other time. 3's that away, sir. This is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give me a call. We are recording.
Number 4 Hotel Golf Echo in Tallahassee, Florida.
I hear a station in Tallahassee, Florida. Come back, sir, with your call sign.
Kilo November 4 Hotel Golf Echo.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name, please?
Charlie Lima India Foxtrot.
Roger that. Now let me look around here. Maybe I can find a SDR that's a little bit better. I'm copying you right now at about 4 dB above my noise level. Let me check that with Atlanta. See what you're doing with the Atlanta SDR. That would be closer. Come back again and let me hear you, sir.
Kilo.
Yeah, give me. Tell me about your antenna so I can check a few SDRs.
SDRs.
20 feet above ground. It's a chameleon. So it's a loop.
Yeah, I looked around and about the best I could find was my local antenna. So let me check West Palm Beach, see if you might be going that way. You never can tell about these radios. Sorry, I got locked up there. Why is that? Well, West. Anyway, what radio are you running, sir?
It's an Icon 7300 with the stock mic.
Okay, I'm copying you about 4 dB above my noise level, so I don't think that's going to... I've looked around some of the other SDRs, and I can't seem to find a better one, so we'll go with this one. Would you be interested in getting a little fatter signal?
Sure, Roger.
Okay, it starts with that compressor and about a 3. Just put the compressor on about a 3. Roger, Roger.
Okay, I'll get that at 3. Yeah, the compression is now at 3.
Alrighty. And what's your mic level?
Mic gain is at 50%.
All right. And I would go to your tone. Go to tone. And I would crank in a little top end there, maybe 3 clicks more on the top end. Yeah, treble, plus 3, treble.
Is that plus 3 now?
It is at a 3 now?
Yeah, Roger.
All right. Tell me about your antenna system so I can hear you just for a minute.
Okay, I'm running a loop, a horizontal loop. It's about 18 feet above the ground. It's 250 feet within the tree.
Roger that. Roger that. I wish we had a better signal for sure. But Mother Nature has decided that we'll have this situation, and so she is right all the time. It's like the customer. Mother Nature is right even if she's wrong. Roger.
Roger that.
I need just a little bit more audio. Tell me about your radio. I need about 20 seconds to just listen to you and see what we got there.
Okay, it's the Icon 7300. I'm running the stock microphone. As you suggested, I moved the compression from 8 to 3, and I'm running the treble now at plus 3 on the tone menu for transfer.
All right. Now, there's one thing about that microphone that you need to work it across your mouth. In other words, not directly into it, but to the side of your mouth. And that way you'll cut down on those transients. The thing you could do to solve that problem would be to go to your local music store and get you a little windscreen that you could put over that mic. You might have to cut out for the push to talk button, but essentially it would just slip over there and solve all of those transients that condenser microphone will give you, Roger.
Thank you. So going to windscreen would help. How is the bass? I was talking with someone up in Virginia about the bass again. -4 bass.
Sorry, I was just listening to that. If you still got a copy of it, you kind of faded down on me a little bit. I would roll off one click on the bass right at this time, and then we'll listen to it. -1. Roll one click off from wherever you are on the bottom end, the bass end, on your EQ. Roger, Roger.
Okay. That would be a -5.
So that's you would be up against the wall there, Roger.
Roger. So yeah, that's the lowest I can go on the bass for transmitting on FSB.
Okay, and what about on the top end? Where are you on the top end?
Okay, for treble, I'm at +3.
All right, put it one more, +4 on the top end.
Okay, it is now +4 on the top end.
Starting to look pretty good, I think. Like I said, I wish I had a little bit better copy on you, but I can hear you enough to hear what basically your EQ is there, Roger.
Great. Roger, yeah, I'm running barefoot, so I'm running just at 100%, and probably with SWR, probably about 75 watts out.
Oh, Roger that. Well, you know, in this day and age, and particularly with 40 meters being in adverse conditions a lot of time, you might think about maybe getting some kind of power situation, but obviously it's not mandatory. And I would say most of ham radio is in the 100-watt situation. So, I would. There's no problem there. It just is that if you work every day, sometimes, you're going to run into adverse conditions, and to keep them from being too adverse, if you've got 300 to 500 watts that you can fall back on, that usually will solve the problem fairly well. Roger?
Roger, thank you. Any recommendations on amp? They're all pretty expensive.
I'm sorry, you dropped down a little bit. Come back and ask me again there on that question.
Right, Roger. Looking for a recommendation on an amp and
Gosh, I would say, there's good used equipment. It doesn't have to be new. Of course, you do solve a lot of potential problems if you do buy new equipment, because you have warranties and guarantees and all that kind of thing to draw back on. Whereas if you buy a used piece of gear, you have somewhat limited recourse there, Roger.
People state that they're very expensive, and other people are running the amps with tubes, and it could be pretty heavy.
Roger that. Well, you just, you have to keep your eye open, and, our standards, I think, like the Heathkit SB220s those are known amps that work great, and if the amp has been treated well, it'll perform well. Amplifiers usually operate exactly as to how they're treated, and if they're treated rough, they'll wind up running rough. Roger?
Cool, thank you. So at this point, my audio is fairly decent, given the limitations of my output.
Roger, yeah, I would think so, and get your windscreen on there, and I think you'll be good to go, Roger.
73s to you. Thanks very much for the help. Thank you very much. For HCE, clear.
Roger. Cliff, come back one more time phonetically with your call sign.
Kilo November 4, Hotel Golf Echo.
Roger, thank you, sir. I was missing the hotel. Thank you, sir. We'll say threes to you, and have a good afternoon and a good weekend. If you get a chance, get that windscreen, and then give us a shout back next Friday, and we'll see how that solves all the transient problems in your life. We'll say threes for now. This is KC9VKV, the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording.
Kilo Bravo 5, Alpha Bravo.
Kilo Bravo 5. Bravo 5, Alpha. What was the back in?
Bravo. Alpha Bravo.
Roger. And what's the name there, please?
Yeah, the name is Kirby, like the vacuum cleaner, and I'm located in South Mississippi. Over.
Roger, for South Mississippi, sounding good, sir. You're about almost 10 dB over my noise level.
Okay. Well, I'm running no Yaesu FT920 and an old Swan Mark II amplifier, an old Swan, and about 500 watts out of it right now. I'm just kind of coasting along into a full wave horizontal loop.
Roger. Well, just a beautiful signal, nice, relaxed, and I'm sure you get almost every contact that you're looking for, Roger.
Yeah, I don't have much problem making contacts. Usually, I normally run this on 40 meters chasing DX, but sometimes I get on a rag chew. I just run across this and thought it was kind of nice and interesting. Over.
Roger, yeah, and your EQ is set up that you can be, QSO or DX or contest. It's a very not heavy in the bottom end, but just enough, and a nice top end, so your audio will fit in anywhere. Roger.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I'm running a kind of an old, interesting microphone. It's an old Radio Shack Highball number 2. And from what I understand, somebody told me that might have had Shure elements in it, but I'm not positive about that. But I ran across this microphone. I thought I'd try it, and it seems to work well for this radio.
Roger, and just out of curiosity, that doesn't have a windscreen on it, right?
No, it does not. And I've been listening to that, and you're talking about that, and I said, well, that's easy enough to do.
Right, but you don't need it there. You have no transients that I notice. But it's always a good. It's like an insurance policy. It's $4 or $5. You can get it at a music store, put it over, and you just don't have to even think about anymore about kind of stuff coming out of your mouth that might not be words.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I'm not running any mic equalizing, no processor, just this bare microphone.
Roger, well, it's doing just a perfect job. Perfect mic for the perfect radio. A perfect mic for the radio. Roger.
Okay. I also run this another one of these microphones on the Kenwood 570, and I equally get good reports out of it. And but I don't know if it's the microphone or just the radio, though.
Well, it could be the operator,
Well, operator's usually the issue, as they say.
Roger that, Kirby. Let me say threes to you, sir. Good sound in radio, Roger.
Thank you, and then good luck and enjoy. I'll listen out for you. Maybe try another radio one day. Thank you for the audio reports, and sounds like you're having a good time. Enjoy. KB5AAB.
Roger, Roger, Kirby 3's that way. This is KC9VKV in the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording, and we will be posting it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 3/29/19. My Group Aircheck, today's date, 3/29/19. This is KC9VKV.
KC9VKV, November 8, Zulu uniform.
November 8, Zulu uniform.
Yes, hello, I'm John in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Roger, John. I'm not sure. I've faded out of North Carolina a few times, so let's see how it goes, sir.
Well, I'm getting you over 9 most of the time. There's some fading in and out, but I'd say pretty intelligible 5.9 plus.
Roger. I know it all sounds good except when Mother Nature pulls the plug, Roger.
It is kind of funny the way it fades in and out. You were talking to the fellow from Florida a little while ago, and the tips you gave him about adjusting his compression and so forth, I could barely hear him when he first started communicating with you, and then after a while, he came in fine.
Roger. Well, Mother Nature knows. She says, "Oh, he's doing that, so I'll up the signal for him."
So where are you located?
We're across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the Ohio from Louisville, right in Indiana. Roger.
Yeah, I seem to have a lot of QSOs with Midwesterners the last few days.
Roger, Roger. Gosh, what kind of radio are you running, sir?
So I've got an Icon 7300. I'm using the standard microphone that came with it. My antenna is an attic-mounted dipole, and got no amplifier or anything, so it's a pretty basic system. This is actually my first month I've had an HF station, so I've got kind of a basic setup at this point.
So you were not HF capable. How long have you been a ham, sir?
I was a technician since about 2014, but I upgraded to General and Extra in November, so beginning in November. But it took me a little while to get around to buying and setting up the equipment and running the antenna and so forth to collect.
Roger, so you're an extra now?
Yes, I'm an extra now.
Oh, very good. Congratulations, sir. I look and envy you with you. I hope to get my extra tickets sometime, but it's going to be a while,
Yeah, after I got the technician, I waited 4 years before I took the general. But while I was studying for the general, it seemed easier than I expected. But when I started studying for the extra, boy, that was a different story. That was hard stuff.
Roger, I just switched over to the Milford PA SDR, and you're doing gangbusters there, Roger.
Roger. And where did you say that is?
That's Milford, PA, Milford, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So you have access to a number of other receivers?
Roger, I have 2 Amazon Fire tablets and another computer, so I'm running 3 SDRs, Internet SDRs, plus my receiver. Roger.
Roger. Hey, that's really fantastic. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, they all come up on a 6-position rotary switch. So the interesting thing about a rotary switch is that you can check 6 different signals in about a second and a half. I mean, it's just zip, zip, and you can hear what 6 different receivers are doing within a second and a half, Roger.
Roger. So, where do you have these things placed? You have them placed in friends' homes or something?
No. What these are Fire tablets, and they're copying internet SDR locations. Roger.
Roger. Oh, I see. Okay. I think I understand now. I'm kind of new at this.
Roger. Well, you know, there are internet SDR receivers all over the country and all over the world. So I have probably about 25 SDR locations stored in my favorites, and I try to pretty much constantly monitor Rochester, New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Milford, PA. Those SDRs, Roger.
Roger. Okay, that's really interesting. So how do you get started in that?
Well, you just you go to Amazon and order you a couple of fire tablets. They are really quick. I can, from my favorites, when I select a SDR receiver in my favorites to when it's fully deployed on the screen, it takes about 6 seconds. Roger.
Roger. And can you do that with a regular computer, or do you need to have a fire tablet?
No, you can. I've got one that is just a regular computer. I've got it. That's the one that you're coming in on now. Is the Milford, PA SDR. Roger.
Roger. And where do you go on the internet? You have a URL that you dial in?
Oh yeah, they come up. There's a listing. It's it's SDR-HU, I believe it is, which has probably about 100 or 200 SDR locations on it, URLs, Roger.
Roger. Well, that sounds great. I'm going to do that.
Roger. Well, the thing is, you know, it gives you an option. Instead of just one antenna, one signal, you have 3 additional as options, and they're spread out, you know. So I'm going from Rochester to Raleigh to Milford, Pennsylvania, and so usually the stations are, you know, in the southeast or the eastern corridor, and so this gives me some options that you know, I couldn't. In other words, if I had to put money into another antenna system, it still wouldn't give me the bang for the buck that I have the way it is. Roger.
Roger. Over to the website? I guess so. I guess it's. I've heard of people operating individual radios remotely, but I think this is the first time I've heard of dialing into SDRs on the internet.
Roger. Now this is just receive. This isn't transmit. I'm transmitting from you know, one location, but these are just optional receive points. And there was somebody else that had a question out there. A person with a question. Come back.
Come back.
What was the website? Was it websdr.org or another one?
SDR-HU, I believe. Hang on just a second. Let me break one of these down, and so I can get to my favorites here. I don't want to break the wrong one down, but let's see here. I got to go further back than that. It's called SDR.HU. SDR.HU. Roger?
Roger. Okay, SDR.HU.com or what?
No, just SDR.HU, and that'll bring up the listing of about 200 SDRs. Roger.
Roger. Okay, Roger. Thank you. M-A-B-E-G, clear.
Roger. 3Z away, sir. Have yourself a good afternoon. And back to, was it John?
Is it John?
Yes, that's John, and I didn't catch your name.
The name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike, and the call sign is KC9VKV, and we are located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. And this is the Qso-Vlog network. We are recording live between now and 5, and so if you would like to know what your radio sounds like, we'll be posting this on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 32919. My Group Aircheck 32919. Roger?
Roger. Hey, that's great. I will certainly do that. Yeah, this is all new to me. It's kind of really exciting.
Roger. Yeah, well, the thing was, we've got a lot of our 100-watt friends that this whole thing started in the morning time on this frequency, and our 100-watt friends were coming in at about maybe 1 or 2 dB above the noise level, and so we thought maybe in the afternoon we might get some better propagation, and we did. We picked up another 3 units or so they're coming in about 5, 6 are in that area, and now we are added the SDRs so we can have options of trying to get closer to them with better signals, so we can hear what their radio is doing, and when we might give them advice about what they need to do, we can hear it just a little bit cleaner. Roger.
So how are you copying me?
I'm copying you on the Milford, PA, and you're coming in about 8 dB above their noise level. Roger?
Roger. Okay. So I'm getting you a couple of dB over the noise, and you're actually broadcasting from Ohio?
We're broadcasting from Indiana, right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, I had my geography all mixed up. I was thinking Cincinnati was more across the river from Louisville, but I guess my geography is mixed up.
Well, just think of horse racing. First Saturday in May coming up, the worldwide Kentucky Derby. That's what they do over in Louisville, fast women and horses.
Well, thank you very much for the report. It's good to talk to you, and I guess I got to go see about making supper. So I'll go clear now, and so this is NHZU clear. And thanks for the contact.
Roger. And John, what town in North Carolina are you next to?
I'm actually inside Raleigh. I'm almost in the middle of Raleigh.
Oh, well, hang on just a second before you run off, because I do have the Raleigh SDR up, and I'm just curious. Sometimes folks can be too close to these SDRs, and it's, I'm just curious. Come back and talk to me just for a second.
It's interesting whether you'd be able to hear me from there, or if I was too close. NHCU.
Well, you are too close. I'm not even picking you up on the Raleigh SDR. I'm picking you up, as I said, on the Milford, PA SDR. Roger.
Yeah, I expect my antenna is probably mounted a little too close to the ground, so it probably doesn't have too much ground propagation.
Yeah, Roger. Because if you're closer than 25, 50 miles, that's ground wave, and so I guess you'd have to be like maybe 10 miles away to actually function on ground wave very well. So that's the other thing. You never know about these SDRs. You just I've got them there, and I can run through them, and I can't say that this one's going to be hot and that one's not. It's just they're options. Just look at them as 3 options other than my regular radio. Roger.
So do you have any idea where that SDR is located in Raleigh, where the receiving point is?
No, I don't. They just list Raleigh. I mean, I have never seen an actual street address, Roger.
Okay, yeah, I'd just be interested to see how far away from me it is.
Roger. Now, what you might do is Google. Well, you know what we were talking there earlier about SDRHU, I think it is, and read the fine print. It might actually say specifically where they are. Roger.
Roger. Okay, I'll try that. I'm certainly going to go to that site and look up how to do what you're doing.
Roger. Well, like I say, there's a lot across the United States, and there's a lot in Europe and around the world. So if you don't want to hear what's going on in China, well, I don't know about China, but other places, yeah, anywhere in the world except maybe China. Roger.
Yeah, it seems to me that I was scanning around the internet one time, and I ran across a site where you could actually talk on a ham radio remotely over the internet. Of course, you had to be licensed, but you were actually using your computer microphone, and the actual transmission was happening somewhere else. That might be similar to what you're doing.
Right. Well, it is kind of. I'm getting the receive part. Through the internet connection from that SDR receiver. Like I say, my transmit is coming from my main source by Louisville, Kentucky. Roger.
What kind of antenna and power are you running?
This is a inverted V, and we're running a SB220 at about a kW.
Okay, great. That's interesting to know, because I'm just picking you up really well. So you don't have a beam or anything?
No, just what I've tried to do is get a steep enough vertical angle to get more an omnidirectional pattern going with my inverted V, and that way we're pretty much 20 over from Montreal to Miami and New York to New Mexico. Roger.
Well, that sounds great. Like I said, I just got my antenna up, and I just got my radio on just this month. So I think in the future I'll be thinking about better, but maybe more difficult ways to run an antenna on this property.
Roger. Well, a simple thing would be to run two dipoles, one dipole north and south and one dipole east and west, and then put it on a AB switch, and you're going to get two different opinions on almost each signal that you're working.
Yeah, I think there are ways that I could do that on my property. There are some trees. But I might have to put like an inverted V like you have, because I don't have enough trees really to run, to run a long dipole and still have a place to connect to coax. I think I might even have to bury the coax to get it to a convenient location.
Roger. Well, a dipole for 40 is 66 feet driven in the center. Roger.
40 is 66 feet driven in the center. Roger.
So, yeah, and I actually have an 83-foot antenna in my attic, but I actually had to bend it a little bit at the ends, about 5 feet at the ends to get it to fit.
Roger. It'd be better to bend the feed point and leave the ends straight. Roger.
Parallel to each other rather than fanning out. They have coils in the longest element to shorten it a little bit. Over to you.
Roger. Well, you're doing real well for what you got. If you can obviously get outside, it would be a little bit better. Roger.
If you can obviously get outside, it would be a little bit better. Roger.
Yeah, it certainly would. I kind of wanted to get going quickly, and one of the reasons that I went ahead and put up to my attic that I was using coax, running up to my attic that I was using for a shortwave listening antenna some years ago, so I thought that would be my quickest way onto the air. And now that I'm on the air, I'll be thinking about better ways to do it.
Oh, roger that. Roger that. Well, let me say threes to you. And again, if you want to check out your audio, go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And then that'll take you to the Qso-Vlog page and look for Qso entitled My Group Aircheck 32919. My Group Aircheck 32919. Roger.
919. My Group Aircheck 32919. Roger.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have that written down. This sounds like fun. It was great having contact with you. So 73, and I'll go clear N8 ZU.
Roger, Roger, John 3's that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. We'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV in the afternoon Qso-Vlog program. If you've got a radio, you want to hear what it sounds like, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Hear what it sounds like, give us a shot. KC9VKV.
I just heard the tale of somebody there. I'm not sure who it was, but try it again.
Who it was, but try it again.
Victor Echo 3, X-ray Bravo Oscar.
Canadian friend, Victor Echo 3, what was the rest?
Canadian friend, Victor Echo 3, what was the rest?
X-ray Bravo Oscar.
Roger, Roger. Now, who was there? What's the name?
Roger. Now, who is that? What's the name?
Name here, Bart. Good afternoon, Jim.
Roger, Roger, Bart. I'm copying you on the Raleigh SDR, Roger.
On the Raleigh SDR, Roger.
Oh, Roger, you're just booming in here, 20 over.
Well, thank you, sir. Today is seemed like to me Charlie up around the Canadian border there. He was pretty good as far as getting into Virginia, but did not come further south too well. So I was thinking, today might be another one of those days that Mother Nature kind of holds back some, Roger.
Mother Nature kind of holds back some, Roger.
Roger. No problem, Jim. Just wanted to say hello. Hope everything is great.
Oh, absolutely is, Bart. Absolutely is. And I sure appreciate your checking in, sir. You're sounding great. That's it. You're running what radio?
You're sounding great. That's it. You're running what radio?
It's the Kenwood TF940 with the pop filter and the condenser mic, Roger.
Yes. That sounds great, man. Sounds beautiful, Roger.
That sounds great, man. Sounds beautiful, Roger.
Roger. Anyways, I don't want to tie it up. 7-3. Enjoy the rest of your hour.
Roger, Bart. 3's that way, sir. Thanks for checking in. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We'll say hello and see how conditions are between country neighbors there. And this is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network, where we record between now live till 5, and usually maybe just a skosh after 5. But if you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Check out the audio, give us a shout. KC9VKV. Well,
boy, I swear, I almost thought I heard the end of my audio on my local receiver. And I don't know exactly how that is. You expect, there's a latency situation with internet SDR receivers. Sometimes it can be as quick as a second or 2 seconds. Sometimes it can get out to like 15 seconds, and that's really interesting. When it gets out that far, you can almost hear your total transmission from beginning to end coming back at you before you get a response. But the interesting part was that just then I thought I heard my local receiver coming back, and I was trying to figure out how that would happen. Anyway, this is KC9VKV. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout.
Kilo Echo 0 Delta Golf Bravo.
Station Kilo Echo 0. Come back with a call sign again.
Kilo Echo 0 Delta Golf Bravo.
Roger, sir. And what's the name?
Jim, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, sir. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, it was a little rainy out here today. I had to go out and work in the rain, but I ended up getting an amplifier the other day. All right, again. Maybe you can hear me a little bit better.
Well, now, what's your location?
Missouri, southwest Missouri.
All right. Tell me something for about 10 seconds, and let me check the SDRs, Roger.
All right.
10 seconds, and let me check. Roger.
I'm supposed to drop down a little bit next week, but like I said, I can see spring coming on its way.
Oh, Roger, yes. Let's all celebrate spring, and I'm sure we've got a lot of antenna work that we need to do there come spring, Roger.
Yep. There's always projects to do outside. Mowing the grass, too.
Well, that's a Roger. Now, I had an antenna project about a week ago. I've got a vertical loop antenna for 10 meters. It's a PVC frame, 36 feet around, and I run a full wave loop tie tack to that PVC frame for 10 meters. And I tried an experiment. I wanted to give me a 40-meter option. So I built onto that PVC frame what's called a web antenna. Now the web is, well, you just imagine this, your antenna lead going around and around and around and into smaller areas, and and to when you finish, it looks like a spider web, and you have successfully looped a full wave amount of wire for 40 meters for a full wave loop antenna, and I must admit that it didn't work. I find myself building in two phases anymore. The first phase is building it, and the second phase is figuring out why it didn't work.
Yep. How'd you keep those wires separated as the loop got smaller, Jim?
Well, you put, what I initially had was just a bare bones rectangular PVC frame. And so then when I knew I was going to try to build a web, I knew I would need some additional support. So I did put an X, PVC X over that that basic frame, and then one across the middle. So I added 3 separate new pieces of PVC to do the web on, Roger.
All right. I was kept the wire all separated out.
Well, now the idea was that I would use the first 36 feet of the 10-meter loop, the full wave, the 10-meter loop, which is 36 feet around. I would use that as the first loop on my web, and I added, I think it was supposed to be like 140 feet for a full wave antenna for 40. So I was going to use the first 36 feet of the 10-meter loop, and then add 110 feet of additional wire looped around, and so I would wind up with 140 feet, which should have been a full wave loop for 40. But I ran into some kind of difficulty there, and my first loop didn't like to get incorporated into my second loop. So I wound up short on my 40 meter. I even went to the point of trying to load out the difference around one of the PVC frames, just wrapping a coil around that frame to make up for the difference that I didn't have on the that 36-foot 10-meter loop. But I got tired after about 3 or 4 hours, Roger.
I understand. Well, how did it work on 10 meters?
Oh, listen, from what I understood, the best I was possibly going to get was a 1.5 on 10 meters on that loop without a bunch of other stuff. And I'll have you know, through hook or crook, I wound up with a 1.2, Roger.
Hell, it sounds like it worked pretty good for a 10-meter loop. Sounds like you need some more work on a 40-meter loop, though, Jim.
Well, yeah, it's a 40-meter loop in progress. That 10-meter loop, I actually tested it out, and I had forward gain on a vertical loop antenna, which is not supposed to do that because, you have this vertical loop, and it's supposed to radiate off the back side as well as it does off the front side. So you don't have really a front and a back. You just have the same on either side. But this loop, and I'm not sure if it's because of the web wiring or not, but I'm actually catching about a 4 dB increase on one side versus the other side. It's amazing, but I'm actually doing that. And, obviously a loop antenna is absolutely dead off the ends. I mean, it is, you can null a 40 dB over signal with a vertical loop antenna off the ends. So this thing, as it turns around, when I'm looking at the signal, I'm actually getting about 4 dB hotter than a 5/8 vertical. Can compare A/B comparison. So I'm getting about 4 dB hotter than a standalone 5/8 vertical. And then as it starts to turn around, it hits that 90-degree null, and for all practical purposes, it is gone. Everything that I was copying is gone. And then as it starts coming around, it comes back to 180 degrees from where it was, but the signal is now 4 dB lower than what it was facing the other way.
That's strange. It's interesting what you can do with antennas, is all you can say, Jim.
Roger, well, I would have never have suspected that I could have gotten directionality out of a vertical loop antenna. Because, there's no reason for it. Logically, you would think it would be bidirectional. It's hot off the one end as the other end. But this antenna does show a 4 dB hype on the, on one side versus the other. So obviously, I named that the front. Roger.
Yep, that's what I would have done too.
I mean, I knew it wasn't the side, and it did have directionality, so it had to be the front. Anyway, what's going on over there? How's your radio running and everything?
It seems to be amplifier, and it's made a difference, that's for sure.
Roger, Roger. Now, how much power are you running? Roger. Well, we do have very bad conditions right now. I'm only copying you about 3 dB above my noise level, and I'm sure... Let me go down to 100 watts. I'm down to 100 watts. Can you copy me at 100 watts?
Jim, your signal comes up and then goes down. We've got the power that's part of it, too.
Jim, I just went down to 100 watts. Can you copy me at 100 watts?
Yeah, I can copy you, Jim.
All right. Well, I went back to KW now. You can probably copy me a little bit better.
Yep, a little bit better. Quite a little bit.
Yeah, I think Mother Nature's coming back here. Well, anyway, Jim, threes to you, sir. Sounding good. Thanks for checking in, Roger.
All right, Jim. Good hearing you. Thanks for doing what you do. 73. KE0.
Roger, Gemini. I'm sure you're going to enjoy that amp. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the amp, and if you want to hear what it sounds like, go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do the call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and then that'll take you to the Qso-Vlog page, and on that page you'll be looking for Qso-Vlog entitled My Group Aircheck 32919. My Group Aircheck 32919. This is KC9VKV in the Qso-Vlog network, and we are rapidly turning into a pumpkin. I think we have room for one more. Anybody want to check out their audio? Give me a call.
This is Whiskey 3 Lima India Alpha.
Whiskey 3 India Lima Alpha. This is KC9VKV.
Okay, fine. India Lima Alpha, KC9VKV.
Finally running just 100 watts here to an 884 tuner and a long wire 53 feet. So, you have very good audio. Your KW sounds great. This is W3LIA.
Roger, come back with your call sign slowly, phonetically, please.
Okay, yes, it's Whiskey 3 Lima India Alpha. W3 living in America. That's what it's
Roger, and what's the name, please? Lima India Alpha, what's the name, please?
The name is Bob, Baker, Ocean Baker.
Roger, Bob, and whereabouts you be, sir?
We're located near Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, in the western suburbs of Philadelphia, and very nice little community, and unfortunate and sneaky long wire out here.
Roger. Now, I thought that Milford, PA would have been a natural for your signal, but I didn't copy anything, so I am copying you about 5 dB above my noise level on my local antenna. Roger.
Okay, Roger. Thank you for picking me up. I appreciate it. It's the first contact I've made in over a year. This is W3LIA.
Roger. Now, has that been because of bad conditions or just not trying?
Okay. The other station, please.
I was just saying, it was that since I'm your first in about a year, I was just wondering if that was because of bad conditions or that you just hadn't been trying, Roger.
The problem was that my antenna came down out of the tree, and I extend out to one of the trees here with a stealth antenna, very 24 gauge piece of wire. And that's the only kind of antenna we could use in our community here.
Yes, I'm familiar with the 34 gauge super unseen wire. That's a HOA wire, Roger.
It's QSL. It is an HOA wire.
Well, you know what? That 34 gauge, the narrower the wire, the less the Q, and or the higher the Q, and the lesser the bandwidth. So with 34 gauge wire, you go 10 kc one side or the other, you probably have to retune.
Oh, I've got an AX4 tuner behind this. I'm an Icon 706 with the tuner, and it is a long wire tuner, and it does a good job. So yes, indeed, I do have to retune quite often.
Roger, and I'm not sure exactly at what power level a 34 gauge wire would disintegrate. I do know that 1100 watts I can do in RG6 as far as a transmission line if you hang on it too long. I was doing a tune-up and using RG6 as the transmission line on a kilowatt amp, and I stayed too long at the farm, and I did manage to turn that RG6 into spaghetti. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, this is 24 days, not 34 days, so it's a little bit heavier than 34. But anyhow, there was another station in there trying to break in or to come into this conversation with us. You want to stand by and see if he's still there?
Share station, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I gave up because you were drowning him right out. But I heard him mention my call sign. Anyhow, what's the handle out there?
Roger, the name here is Jim. I did not hear him at all. He was just absolutely nowhere. I am on my my local antenna. I have 3 SDRs, internet SDRs that I monitor in addition to my antenna. And but I was just on my antenna. I did not hear him, so I apologize for that. The name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and we're located near Louisville, Kentucky. Roger.
Okay, Roger. A lovely part of the country. So, yeah, Jim, thanks so much for coming back. I appreciate it. And hope we tune around here on 7189 from time to time and see if we can get you again there. For that, for now, thank you. 73, this is WCLIA.
Roger, Roger, Bob 3's that way. We do run the Qso-Vlog network between 3:30 and 5 each Friday afternoon on this frequency. So if you get a chance next Friday, drop by and say hello. We'd appreciate it, sir. Have yourself a good afternoon and a good weekend. And with that, we have successfully turned ourselves into a pumpkin, so we got to get out of here. We say 3's to all. Enjoyed it, and we'll see you next Friday at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. I'm sorry. Oh gosh, what is that? We're I forget. Not Eastern Daylight Time. What is the other time reference?
Daylight saving time.
Daylight savings time, of course, and I wrote that down somewhere, but I have no idea by the end of the show where anything is. I got to get out of here. 3's all. Enjoyed it, and we'll see you next Friday afternoon at 3:30. This is KC9VKV. It will be clear.